lot. I'm saying no.
All right. I think Matt's going to have seen it.
Matt Barrows of The Athletic. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Morning, guys. What movie are you talking about?
We're talking about the Liam Neeson version, the brand new, now streaming on Paramount, Naked Gun.
I have not seen The Naked Gun.
Did you see any of the previous Naked Guns?
Oh, yeah. I mean, back the O.J. Simpson Naked Gun.
Yes.
Makes a
high watermark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we continue with the 49ers interview, just real quick, Jason, your thoughts on losing right there?
I will be better next time.
You're going to do better?
Yeah.
Maybe a little better Barrows research?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Matt, unlike Jason Ross, the 49ers were able to pull, I won't say pull victory from the jaws of defeat, but that was a good game. And I don't envy you because your job is to watch and analyze, whereas a ding-dong like me who has no journalistic ethics whatsoever, I can proudly sit here and say, I don't know how they're doing this, and I don't care. I assume you're a little more analytical than that.
Yeah, I try to be. I mean, I did, this is how erudite and analytical I am. My takeaway from the game was, boy, there was a lot of energy in that stadium last night.
Right.
So, I mean, which is interesting because you would think that a week after losing your emotional leader, Fred Warner, that could be an issue. But it was really the opposite. And Warner, frankly, was part of that energy. He was, in the locker room before the game. He was on a knee scooter during warm-ups. He came out to the end zone. He was on the video board, just kind of, cheering the team on. And everyone, fans, teammates, responded to it. And I think that was all kind of part of this team effort that they had to really beat the Falcons in their first comfortable win. I mean, they were in a victory formation at the end of the game. I don't remember seeing that so far this year. Usually it's, a walk-off field goal or something in overtime or a defeat. This was different. So I thought it was a really good game. I thought it kind of restores hope that this team can be effective and do something and maybe get involved during the trade deadline, which is coming up.
Jason, I have an important interjection. I'm sorry.
Sure.
We all looked at each other because that is 100% a journalistic word he just used. He thought he was going to pass over saying erudite to us, and we wouldn't catch it. So just for the audience, and you and me.
And for me, please.
Me too. It's learned scholarly with emphasis on knowledge gained from books, and they use it in a sentence here. At all events, if it involved any secret information in regard to old Roger Chillingsworth, it was in a tongue unknown to the erudite clergyman and did but increase the bewilderment of his mind. So there you go.
I'm more confused.
All of the consultants say people want to learn something when they listen to this program. I think Professor Barrows taught us something. Matt, well done.
I was a bit flummoxed when you asked me about Naked Gun because people in my echelon don't really watch movies like that.
You're too busy watching the latest Paul Thomas Anderson or Coen Brothers movie.
Merchant of Ivory films. I only watch European films.
And you don't need the subtitles.
Back to you, Jason.
Oh, my goodness. As you just talked about the impact, Matt, that you felt that Fred Warner had in the game. I'm curious if it goes beyond Fred Warner, because we've talked the last couple of weeks about how great of a job that Kyle Shanahan has done. And you lose a spiritual and kind of team leader and great player like that, but he has his imprints on the game a little bit. And maybe while Kittle's been out, you always see him on the sidelines and what he's done in the past weeks. How much help has kind of the coaching staff had from these veteran stars that are, trying to do their part? Purdy, while he's out, all these guys that can help this team. How much have they helped? I
mean, they're a big help for sure. I mean, I think that's the theme of this season is that you lose a big player like a Brock Purdy, and then somebody kind of steps into that role and does it well. And so that replacement is relying on the primary to help him. That certainly has been the case between Mac Jones and Purdy. It's now the case between Tatum Bethune and Fred Warner. We've seen Jake Tondres really have a big role in the passing game, and George Kittle has been part of that. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically the first half of the season theme. And you need that. I mean, if you're going to be a team that loses star players, everybody else, the remaining players all have to kind of step up their game, even if it's a very small amount. One might say infinitesimal amount. The aggregate is enough to get you to a win, and I think that's exactly what Sunday night's game was all about. I mean, just everybody, whether it's Chase Lucas or Diamador Lenore or Bryce Huff, Malik Mustafa, each of those guys probably played his best game of the season. The question is whether you can keep that going for another 10 games. I mean, there's still so much season to go. And but I think that they proved to themselves against the Falcons that it's possible, and that's kind of what you need at this point.
Matt Barrows of the Athletic joining us. I'm even wearing my hat for you, Matt. Give us an injury update. We got Kittle back last night, and by we, I mean the 49ers. I'm not on the team, but Kittle did come back, and I don't want to call him a decoy. It's so great to have him back, but obviously he's in a ramp-up mode right now, but how are we looking on the horizon?
Well, they lost two players because every win requires a blood sacrifice now for the 49ers. Yep. So they lost their center, Jake Brendel. I thought that Matt Hennessy, who's a veteran center, came in and played really well. They lost Renardo Green to a toe injury. That may be the theme of the 49ers season, toe.
Jeez.
And so, toes take a while. It take a while for a quarterback. Imagine how long it would take for a cornerback. And so Darrell Luter came in, and I thought, the Falcons' game plan was immediately, okay, pick on Darrell Luter. They threw a lot in his direction. I think he'll be better next week against the Texans, but that was one problem area in the game. And then as far as injured guys coming back, I mean, I think we're going to see a bunch of guys at least practicing this week, and that starts with Purdy, that goes to Ricky Pearsall, maybe Ben Barch, the left guard. His practice window gets open this week. They might even open the practice window for a quarterback, their seventh-round pick, Curtis Rourke. I don't think that he ever gets activated this year. He's dealing with a sort of remnant ACL injury from college. But I think it'll be valuable for him to kind of get into practices. He can practice for 3 weeks before they shut him down for good. And then he would start out the following off season as sort of the third quarterback, and maybe if he's really good, he becomes your number two quarterback if you get a lot of juicy trade offers for Mac Jones, and that may be coming in the spring.
As far as what McCaffrey did last night, look, it wasn't abnormal to see that, but I was thinking going into the game, Matt, that just maybe Bijan Robinson versus Christian McCaffrey, who might have the better game, would maybe end up in the win column. And in this case, it did work out that way. But to be able to go to him, to get the consistent results as a receiver and certainly as a runner, kind of reminded us just still how good and how valuable he is to this team.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about stars that are in and out of the lineup. Christian McCaffrey has been the rock for this team. He's gone over 100 yards, combined yards, rushing and receiving in every game so far, and he was well over that on Sunday night. And this is the first game, obviously, where the running game really clicked, and he kind of showed, okay, I can be the 2023 player that I was. But, I mean, he's having a sensational season. At his current pace, and I realize the long season, still 10 games to go, lots of things can happen, but he would not only be a 1,000 guy, 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving, he'd be he would break those barriers comfortably. And I think that would be really impressive that's the second time in his career he's done it. And it's the second time in his career he's done it on a team that wasn't really that good in terms of talent around him. He did it for Carolina, I believe, in 2019, and he would have done so on a 49ers team where like we keep talking about, the theme of the team is injuries and who's not there. So, I mean, it's just impressive in what he's able to do as he's closing in on 30 years old. And, he's going to be up for Offensive Player of the Week this week because of it. Just a really good all-around performance, and all-around is the key adjective here for Christian McCaffrey.
Matt Barrows joining us. Matt, we've talked about this before, and Jason and I have talked about this a few times this season. Generally Coach of the Year is going to go to the young up-and-comer that's turning stuff around, whether it's, or maybe a Sean Payton with Denver, a team that, is turning its fortunes around or having a surprise year. But, man, I got the red and gold glasses on a little bit, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me this isn't Kyle Shanahan's maybe best season coaching so far. You think maybe there's an exception to the rule and he could get some play on that this season?
I think he gets some play on that. Now, whether he wins it, who knows? But, yeah, you're right. I mean, this has been a team going to this game that is averaging 3.1 yards a carry, that didn't have its starting quarterback. And, the whole list of injuries that we all know about by now, and they were still a 4-2 team, and now they're 5-2.
Yeah.
So he's turning water into wine, on a weekly basis, and I think that is impressive. And I think Robert Saleh is part of that, and he's sort of the Kyle Shanahan on defense. I was watching. How every team has a get-back coach, the guy whose job it is to make sure that the other coaches get back and are comfortably on the sideline. That job for the 49ers goes to Dustin Perry, the strength coach. And Dustin Perry may have worked harder than anyone last night. I mean, he literally had his hands full with Chris Kasurik, the defensive line coach, and Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator. It was like a wrestling match out there, trying to get those guys back onto the sideline. But it just kind of shows that the energy that the coaching staff was throwing at its players, and the players were throwing back at them. I thought it was a really brilliant effort all around, including from a lot of the coaches against the Falcons.
Matt, I'm sure tonight they'll have eyes on the Monday night game, the second game, for multiple reasons. One being checking in on Seattle because they play the Texans. And then that's the next opponent. Niners off to Houston this week. Just kind of an early thought on that matchup and what that might have in store for San Francisco.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup for sure. And another ex-49ers coach and DeMeco Ryans. And, one of the themes in the NFL is, just how few really good linebackers there are these days, and how that position has sort of fallen a bit. And then the notable exceptions, I think, are the 49ers and the Texans. And they know how to find linebackers, and DeMeco Ryan certainly knows how to coach that position. So I think that'll be interesting. I think that the 49ers catch another break schedule-wise. I think that you do want to play a team coming off a Monday night game, and the 49ers got that in the Falcons this week, and they'll be getting that in the Texans, albeit at Houston this coming week. So I think that all that plays into it. I think that you certainly would root for the Texans, root for the AFC teams against the NFC teams, but also because, it's just in this league, you often see a team lose, and then they rally the next week, and then they win, and then they can't quite pull it together the next week, and they lose, and then they win. That just seems to be a pattern that most good to okay teams have to deal with. And it plays into the 49ers' favor, I think.
Any update or, look, I'm asking you to break news here, but what is your sense on John Lynch's activity or lack thereof thus far? Is your sense that, whether they won or lost last night, that he is still actively looking to augment this team with a semi-splashy move?
Yeah, I'd say semi-splashy is the definitive word there. I mean, I think, if you're a 49ers fan, you want to root against the Bengals, have the Bengals lose, have the Bengals look really bad right before the trade deadline so that they're thinking about trading Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals won. They won an emotional game against a division opponent. They seem to get a nice spark from Joe Flacco. The AFC North is lousy this year, all of which, makes you think, okay, maybe the Bengals aren't going to trade their star defensive end. And so the 49ers might have to look elsewhere. The Miami Dolphins would be a good place to look. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb could be on the chopping block. The Dolphins lost on Sunday. They could be, moving on from Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel could be joining the 49ers at some point in some, made up capacity where he's a consultant or something like that. I keep mentioning Arden Key. He'd just be an easy addition. Could come in and make an impact right away because he's played in this system before. I think he'd be a really nice sort of low-key addition. But there are guys out there, and you have to look at the teams that have one or two wins, and then you'll find a half dozen of the likely players to be moved. But I just think that maybe the Bengals might not be moving on from Hendrickson, who would be the best fit for the second half of the season.
Well, I'll make that my last question kind of a follow-up now. It was going to be about Mike McDaniel and how, you never root for anybody to lose their job, but at this point it has all the bells and whistles of somebody being let go, and I'd be mildly surprised. We're actually refreshing Twitter, seeing if it's going to happen today. But that being said, I know it's too easy and too obvious, but do you see a path? Saleh was a head coach, but that took a season. We've seen this stuff before, but could we see open arms for Mike McDaniel on the Niners?
Oh yeah, for sure. Look at Saleh last year. He got fired by the Jets during the season, and he goes over and becomes a consultant, and I forget what his title was, with the Green Bay Packers. He's best friends with the Packers head coach. They were in each other's wedding parties, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan are that close, but it's a great fit. And I'll tell you, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, they love Mike McDaniel. They love his creativity. And you saw creativity in the running game last night. You could always use more. And, that would be a nice addition that wouldn't just be a kind of, I'm going to take care of my buddy move. I think it would really have an effect on this team because Mike McDaniel is so creative and because he's such an expert on the running game and offensive line play. And that's something that a lot of assistants don't have these days. They're all wide receiver and quarterback guys. McDaniel is more of an offensive line and running back guy. And, I think that's always welcome with the 49ers.
That's Matt Barrows, the erudite. Yeah. Matt Barrows.
Who's going to watch Naked Gun tonight.
Yes, that's going to be right there. Yeah.
I'm glad I can, I'm glad I can expand your lexicon there at the radio station. That's really my number one job.
Hey, you know what? It comes with the territory. That's why he's the master. And by the way, best-selling author as well.
That's true. Very true.
Let's be honest. Matt Barrows of The Athletic joining us each and every Monday to wrap up the 49er week. Matt, appreciate you as always. Talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you guys in a week.
See you.
Thank
Bye-bye. You. Why'd I hang up I went to go hang up the phone. Turn my mic off.
Oh, well, that's one way to do it.
That was dumb.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. When we come back, What's on Deck, brought to you by Trek